So let's review what we said yesterday, the last point, and continue. So he spoke the Maila of Riyah over Shmiya, and in the end, the Maila of Shmiya over Riyah. The Maila of Riyah is that you see the Metzias Adover, and it affects the person's Metzias. Can't be convinced otherwise. Shmiya, you're only relating to the Chitzonius Adover. Let's change the language here. Not Metzias, but change the language because it's confusing. Start again. So the ear, it's you see the etzem hadover, and it affects the etzem of the person. By Shmiya, you don't see the etzem hadover. It's not, in other words, not the mahus, only the Metzias, about it, but not it. And therefore, in time you could doubt it, or you could be convinced that what you heard is not true. On the other hand, the Maila of Shmiya is that the Riyah is only something which is Mekorev. You can only see it something which is in your immediate world. But you can hear about something that's far away in place, far away in time, and far away in Inyan, in Madrega, which is why we can be teifes in Yonim Ruchnim with Shmiya. Now, Shmiya reading is also Shmiya. It's not the spoken word, it's a written word, but it's the same principle. It's one word after the other, and you're constructing. You're hearing about it when you read something. So now to parallel all this back in the two kinds of Havana, which is the way this began. There's two kinds of limud, milamayla lamata, milamata lamayla. And this is all to answer how Mashiach is going to teach everybody at once. So I'm picking up the text now. So it's 3/4 way down. Second, 2 words in the middle of the line. The next line starts with who gam basoga. Who, like 10 lines up from the bottom, approximately. Yeah, page 91. So going back to the 2 words of the previous title, so likewise, understanding, grasping, learning a subject, that is only hearing. The intellectual eye, so we're invoking this imagery of an eye, but still, it's still overall, the context of it all is all just about it, listening. Shemasig is if you're learning about something and not seeing it. So Shemasig rakas hametzias hadavar, you're grasping that the thing exists. Avlamahus hadavar, but the actual substance itself, yeshle rak hashara bilvad. He only has an estimation, that he created as to what the thing actually looks like and is, etc. Basaga badov, and therefore his grasp in the matter and whatever he's learning about. And it's limited to his intellect. So he just spoke now about the person's relationship to this subject matter. It's only what? The mitzios. It's only hasha'ara, which means an estimation, literally. He's Messiah. That likewise also the way it affects him. The one who's grasped the subject, it hasn't penetrated to his very being. So that means that those things which in the subject matter which are beyond limit, for sure, doesn't penetrate his mitzias. And the kolshkein, how much more so, even that which he can grasp with his seichel, is not grasped by his essence because he's not grasping the essence of it. So it's certainly true of that which is, we're talking about chassidus, which are betzim hide and seichel, that surely, is very clear, that surely is not touching his atzmusai. It remains separate and removed from him. Are we clear? So in these matters, he doesn't grasp the thing. The end of the day, his understanding is he cannot get moved and excited in the same way that a person was witness and saw it. He's так excited when he learns something. It's inspirational, but it's not an inspiration that completely pervades him, his very being, but it's intellectual excitement. But he remains removed from the subject matter because he hasn't seen it, he's learning about it. It's only the mitzius, not the mahus. Are we clear? Everybody, yeah. V'lachtein, 2 lines in the bottom. In yonim shall, v'legab in yonim shall pel mamish, so to inspire him and to motivate him to act in accordance with that which he has appreciated, must become hasaga. Even if he didn't see it, but he understands it, it's enough. It's enough to inspire behavior. Why? Because behavior is external. Behavior is, so friends, tell me, behavior in contrast to what? So that's enough hasaga, as opposed to what?
Actual intellectual understanding?
We're talking about actual intellectual understanding.
But that brings to behavior.
And so and he's saying it's enough. It's enough to motivate behavior, as opposed to what else? Is it not enough? What is it not enough for? Yeah, to really move the heart, so whole Tanya, there's intellectual emotions. Intellectual emotions, yes. But actually to move the heart, so everything is relative. There has to be an aspect of re'iyah. You can read about someone in a book and fall in love to a degree. That's chitzonius. It's an intellectual love. Till you meet them and see them, then you can fall in love. To use a cliche example, but that's the nekud. Emesa ava, and emesa ava, really to be moved. In the words of the mind, be'etzem. The person be'etzem is an emotional being. That's be'etzem what we are. The midas are rooted in the nefesh deeper than seichel, even though in the hierarchy of things, seichel is higher than midas. But a human being is a primarily emotional being. That's why Adam eats asoda. The union of eight, the peiris goes on, is the union of the midas. And the intellect serves that. What am I going to love? What am I going to love? What am I going to be in awe of? So hopefully a person uses his seichel and he's in love in awe of the right things. But fundamentally, he's an emotional being. Where do you see that? What's a simple indication of that? The simplest indication possible. How are we born? Child. Intellect only develops later. I mean, not till 12, 13 is nothing to talk about. But what's clearly there? Powerful emotions. Powerful loves and fears and desires. Intellect comes later. The whole avodah is to channel that. The person primarily is an emotional being. So therefore, to have emesa ava, there has to be the ear. You can't learn about it. You've got to experience the thing. You've got to see it with your eyes. But peil mamish, second last line, it's enough. Gamasoga. That's the whole premise of Tanya. The whole premise of Tanya, the whole nakud of Tanya, of Sefer Shalbein is that he doesn't feel. But he has an intellectual conviction, and that conviction is enough to inspire behavior. As for emotions, he says intellectual emotions, all kinds of eitzes for all of us to be in the of Avos Hashem. But it's not the Avos Hashem that the tzaddik has, but you can't even relate to it. But it's enough. That's the point of Tanya. The conviction. The person has conviction, then in seichel, that's enough to inspire behavior, provided the conviction is really clear, and it gives us all of that thing to think about to arrive at this conviction that every aved is aved zara v'chol, and he has to really, make the mind understand this. But it's all at the end of the day, hasog. Mashenkin beriya chushes, it's the graphic example. If a person saw a picture of his blackened lungs, a heavy smoker, to show him a picture of it, took an X-ray, and the doctor, one more pack, and you're 6 foot under. He doesn't need a whole explanation. But if you're just going to learn about it, the effect of smoking, but that's enough. If he understands the effect of smoking, what it does on him, that's enough to have that pel mamish. But certainly it would be much greater and emotionally as well if he saw the effect. Last line. But when you actually see, now this is when it gets a bit confusing. But he's saying that Chachma, as opposed to Hasoga, till now he spoke about Hasoga. And Hasoga, understanding that's Teifus the Mahus, only the Metzias, and there's not a spireless Atzmis, but there is a spireless of Pel Mamish, but not a spireless Atzmis, as we said, not the emotions, but Re'iyah de Chachma. Now, Re'iyah de Chachma, not something most people even experience. It's a like eureka moment where a person mamish sees the truth of something. It's virtually physical, but it's not physical. It's purely in Elam HaSeichel, but that's an ear, and that's deeply moving the person. That moment is best. Home Metzias is moved. So Riyah the Chach, let's go further. Next page, 92. Royes Mohusadova. He sees the actual thing itself, and therefore touches his etzem. So when is that? How's that possible? So few people, if ever, experience such a thing. We find this by the Arizal. Friends, this is all not new, right? We learned all about this, remember? I think the Dibba Mascha was Maskilim Yasiru Kazer Arakia. I think that was the Maimer. So the Arizal Shay Misnam them, so it's brought down in the Pri-Chaim that the Arizal would doze. And what's he thinking about? What's happening is his head. He saw in an hour or two, that's a long nap. What's happening in his nap? He saw so much. Listen to this. To articulate this and make it intellectually palatable to the listener, he would need 60 or 80 years. 60 or 80 years to verbalize what he saw in how long? In 1 or 2 hours. Basic, you say there's 2 girsas. I'd like to see that harder of the Rabbi there, but it's 60 or 80 years. It's a harder in Sif my bottom of Shan Aleph. Interesting to see what that harder would be. Huh?
How old was Arizal?
36, if I'm not mistaken.
You never explained it.
The Kisra is very voluminous and it's very badichus. He didn't write it. Chaim Vital wrote it. It's Lekut Torah to that is making the whole library of Svarim. And this will answer a question. It's also dealt with in Tanya, the next question. Big shaila. How is it possible that in the writings of the Avyazal and Chassidus, Meduber Gam Besvirus Madregis Nailis, speaks about the loftiest levels. We talk about Mamash, Lifnei Atzimtzum, and Etzim Ha'oir, and Tzviris and Ketz, Moiridik Madregis, Shlayuchla Nevim Lahasik B'Mad Nevuosam. The Nevim didn't see this. They didn't talk about it. How are we talking about it? What's the answer? They spoke about that which they saw and experienced. And that's only possible for a nivra, for a human being, and the shama, the guf, to see up to a particular level. That's what they spoke about. That's what they revealed. We're talking about not mahus, the mitzius. This is al derech shmiyah. Shmiyah, we can talk about distant things. That's the mile of shmiyah. We're clear? The Chassidus is megala, even though the Rebbe himself, I don't know if it says this, but in Pashtos, you're just watching a mind, you can see it with your own eyes, but the Rebbe himself is not giving over divrei Torah, yediyas ha-mitzius. It's galus ha-mahus for the mahus ha-velikus. As all Chassidim know, and Maimon is Matan Torah, and Begashmius, everybody was there, saw this, and it was a whole lot nigna shalachon, and everybody stood there, underwent a complete physical transformation before our eyes. Everybody knows the story that after Lamed Ches, I was there, Yutis Kislev, and the Rebbe's heart was monitored, and it was after the heart attack. The Shchodesh Kislev went home. First Fabrenga was Yutis Kislev. And we saw the doctor, Dr. Weiss, run up to the Rebbe after the Maimed, because the Maimed, Begashmis, the Rebbe exerts. You see, much more than a sicher. You can see the tablecloth lifting, his hands lifts below the Maimed, the whole face. He often gets red, and it's tremendous exertion. And yet the monitor showed like normal, no change. And what was going on? We saw the exchange. He ran up to the Rebbe smiles, everything's okay. The Gashmis. So a Maimed is, for us, it's words, but for the Bala Maimed, that's the it's higher than Nevuah, much higher than Nevuah. Not because he's talking Madregas higher. Gather those Madregas. Anyway, we're getting to areas which we shouldn't. It's foolish. What's doing by the Rebbe? I'm just reminded of this story. I want to get it straight. Simon Jacobson, if I'm playing for my Laser David in his house a while ago for his shul, all about his inside stories of being the one who writes up the Modim and the Sichos. But I don't want to say exactly, but he asked a question that was about the Rabbeim and the Wonder Rebbe and I remember the question. It's a question about the Rabbeim and their relationship with each other and one Nasi in a generation. It's a contradiction in two stories. There's only one Nasi, in other stories there's two, something like that. Will come to me exactly the story. We always know there's one Nasi in the story. The Rebbe told, but the Fabrengen was a Maisa that one Rebbe said about his father. Since he's a Nasi, before he was a Rebbe, he could, but he's not the Rebbe, something like that. He got back a sharp answer. Basically, I don't remember the Lashon was like, since when there's a chassid, like, it says, when is this your domain? Kind of, to ask questions about how the Rebbe works. Completely, all questions I got answered, basically. Every question they had, long notes, and this is for publication. Not some curious publication for the complete dismissal, like not if you've missed. So I'm saying here also. So close the brackets and let's go back to the Maimon. Once told you this also, that the Alter Rebbe once heard outside his room, sitting with debating, say, here's Madrege, but Madrege, the Rebbe is the Magid, the Rebbe, what? So he came out and he said, I think, if I'm not mistaken, this whole discussion is Gaive. This, your Rebbe, I think, two sitting but arguing, which Well, it's enough that the Rebbe is one tefach higher than you. It's enough. It's already enough. He's madregas. It's not your. Okay. So this is because what Chassidus speak higher, Mashenkin Basoga, so the Levium only spoke that which they saw. That has limit. Mashenkin Basoga. Likewise, a Kamokin Bidi is Ayin HaSeichel. So when we're talking about the intellectual eye, Shurak HaSoga Samitzios. So if we're learning about the Mitzias, about things, one can entertain and learn about the loftiest, most distant things. You're not seeing it, you're learning about it. So you, right? It's a Gemara. That a Chacham, Adif, what's Adif? Better precedence, higher than even a Navi. Because for this reason, right? How could it be a Chacham? He's a smart fellow. He's greater than Navi, who is this man of God, but the Navi can only take you to what he sees. And the Chacham, based on Torah principles and so on, and logic, can guide a person into a world that he doesn't see. So now answering our question, how can Mashiach teach everybody? How will he be able to teach Torah to all Yidden? And our question was that, what was the question you asked at the beginning of this? The time a Torah will be Nizgala, when? Only then. Really? But we have it now. We have it now in the Rabbi Akiva and Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and the Baal Shem Tov and the Rabbeim. That's a radical difference. Now we're having it what? The words. Hasoga. Become Mokim Babiyas and Mashiach Tiaria Belikos will see Ria Chushes. Now, the Me'ain Zaya Gam Kaidem. There was something like this even before Mashiach comes. Avon Rak Etzelich Yedizgul, only with people of distinction. Ve'etzlam Gufa Rak Liprakim Rechoikim. They only had this on times, distant times, one from the other. Interesting. But Mashiach will come to be the thing of the ear constantly. It's a cold b'nei Yisrael by all Yidden. This is that he will teach all Yidden, because it's going to be seeing and experiencing the loftiest madregas, and that embraces all Yidden. The one that learned about it, now he's going to see it. The one that never heard, he's going to see it. Tzemach Tzedek said, what's going to be the whole difference between Mashiach and after learning all of these madregas? He says, that's a big difference. Oh, that's it. Even Moishe of a blind man in colors, explaining the colors, red is warm and green is cool. And then you see it, that's it. But that is worth everything. Why? Okay, we'll leave another time, because that's the etzim is mamish moved. Person struggled with something and lived with it, and it still remained elusive because he's not seeing the musadover, but that was his whole life, is to connect the likus and the emes, and then when it's finally revealed, that comes from the depth of him and pervades the depth of him. As opposed to someone that was never in his world, and she said, it's nice, and beautiful. But that comes when there was the whole toil and the longing and the avodah before. And since the etzem limit the Mashiach will teach everybody, will be very lofty. Therefore, the learning will be in a completely different level. Therefore, we can learn with a great number of people. Different numbers and different levels of learning. So if he says, these words, Etzem al Limud is going to be Naila Yoser. means that the way you teach will be completely different. The way you teach something that you see, which begs the question: why do you have to even teach it? Why do you have to teach it? If you're seeing it, so that whole teaching is a whole different kind of teaching. You see? Yeah. Let's begin the next few words. So before I go further, friends, everybody's in. We want to continue Chol HaMoed, and the plan is 9:15. See this? And 10 o'clock davening. The out of towners for sure. Bring your kids. How does it work for anybody else? It's only what? It's only Monday and Tuesday. So 2 days. We could finish the Maimer. I think so, yeah. I remember seeing. I think there is like the 7 o'clock regular time. We could do is we could make, if you daven at 7 o'clock minyan, so we can make Chassidus 8:30 till 9:15. I'm happy to do that. And then we'll put it on the WhatsApp. People should respond. We'll see what works for the majority.
Right now, what the Chassidus we're learning gives us,
Ideas and Metzius.
It's enough to be to do something.
Yeah.
But not
to stir the heart and get all excited and no.
And it's nothing compared to
what we're going to experience when Mashiach comes. Yeah. The difference will be again that big aha. Oh, but that's a big, deep difference.
I feel a certain degree today.
It's inspirational. That it is inspirational in the mind. It's midrash b'seichel.
This actually, you're saying this will change the heart.
Yeah, there's 2 levels to the heart. There's 2 levels to the heart. The pnimius halev, and actually the pnimius halev is affected. It's more the external love, passionate love. That will be only when we see and experience. But to some degree, we have it now also, as I told you. That's the Rabbi themselves. And you even said it here. There are those that have this thing in every evil likus now to a degree. Okay, let's go a bit further. So just like before Matan Torah had to be Kriyas Yamsov, Kach Tzarech Liyis the Gemasa Kodim is Galus Pnimius HaTorah the Mashiach. So just like before Matan Torah, which is the Chibur of Atzilus and Biyah, so there had to be permanently, there had to be the temporary fusion in both L'mayla, L'mata, that have Kriyas Yamsov. So also has to be similar to these before the Galus of Pnimius HaTorah through Mashiach. Okay, so that will continue, Be'ezrat Hashem, on Chol HaMoed. I'll just read to you, I think I read this to you.